Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we are at the field for some much needed field work. I'll get into it a little bit later, but for now, let's start off throwing some discs. Not before we warm up though. The time is now, we have risen. It is time to grisen, rise and grind, something like that. Listen, I would have been out here earlier. It's like 10 a.m., but any earlier would have been too cold. So this is pretty good for me. We're here before the wind, which is nice, pretty low wind, a little bit of right to left, but shouldn't be much. Sorry if I'm dirty later on. And yeah, I have over 50 discs today to test out, ranging from putters to hybrid drivers. My bag is kind of in shambles from being in the Northeast winter cold. So we got some cool stuff to try out, some cool stuff you'll definitely be excited to see, so stay tuned. And first thing, the P1. I mean, this has been like the disc I really have needed to work with, and I'm gonna test it out today along with a few others. So my old P2 baby is gone, but we will make a new one. And this P1 I've been beating up. Let's just check the stability here quick. As you see on the hyzer release there, I know there's a little bit of a crosswind, but man, like I really need that to be flippier for that slot in my bag. And here might be the secret weapon. This is an S-line P1. Specialty, Northeast special. Don't ask me how I got it, but this one's slightly beat up. Might just be the one. First flight on this guy. Hoping to be a little bit straighter. Oh, man. Oh. Yep, that's it. I mean, we can just cancel the video. It's going right in the bag. Let's go! That actually makes me so hyped to see a premium plastic throwing putter that feels like a nice frisbee type putter to just pop up on that nice late flip and ride. Got some blue ones too. I know color sometimes affects stability, so who knows, maybe these ones are money too. Interesting. I mean, yeah, I think that's a brand new one. And I mean, it flies pretty similar to that glow one that I've been beating up. So that white glow one might just be the most stable of the bunch, which is not a bad thing. Like if a disc is too stable, it's honestly pretty good. I just have a tournament in 8 days and we can't have that. Glow P1 number 2 here. Oh yeah. See, that one is the actual brand new one. You know, I'm gonna end up throwing that Glow P1 again. It's also the first throw of the day. Could have just been a little soft. So I'm gonna go get it right now. I just threw these two back when I threw them, and yeah, I definitely didn't give this one enough credit. First throw of the day, a little weak, but this one's definitely flippier. So I'm gonna try another line I like with my throwing putter. Just a nice kind of a little bit hyzer to flat, and see if I can drift the whole way. I'll go with this guy first. So on that line, you can see it kind of tip over right, but man, I mean, it's just stabling out and even faded out. Like I can definitely tell you that for this slot, not what I'm looking for, but man, I mean, a great flying disc. Like if I can beat that up, probably like all next off season or somehow throughout the tour, if maybe I just throw it a bunch, that will be an amazing disc. But this one's at that spot now. Let's check this nice drift. You can see it tip and just go. Yep. Great glide too. It's not so flippy that it's like rolling. It's just holding that stability, getting that turn. So glad I got that disc. We have my other favorite throwing putter here, the Sky God 4, and completely different disc. This is my stable hyzer throwing putter. This is the one I want to kind of flex out of that line. This is a nice little tip for all you guys who have heard about pros cycling discs. This is exactly what I mean. We have a disc here that I really like, Sky God 4. I have them in various stages of wear. All of them could be in my bag. It just depends on which one kind of fits the bill at that time. And now since I've been working with a more stable P1, I've also had a more stable Sky God in, because if I had a flippier Sky God and more stable P1, well, it's pretty much the same disc. So now that I have something in my P1 slot that can actually turn over, I need something in my Sky God slot that's actually a little bit straighter. not so overstable, so there's a huge gap in between the discs, which is why I think this guy is the front runner. Was my Sky God during the Q Series last year. Pretty seasoned, but like still in a really good spot. So we'll test all these out. So I'm gonna show you guys what a brand new Sky God 4 flies like. Never been thrown here. Should be pretty stable. And you can see you hit it on the hyzer, tilts left. And we've got great glide, which I like for being 2-speed, but down, pushing left. That and the P1 is too big of a difference. So I like to have one slightly beat up, which is where this one comes into play. It's also nice just to have slightly beat up discs because you know that it's kind of past that initial stage of wear. A little bit easier to trust. First time throwing this disc actually since Q Series finale, and it was flying really good for me there. Yeah, you can see it's still stable, but it has a bit more of that push up, so it's not so going left the whole time. And it's good because it's not flippy, like it's nowhere even close to straight, but it's just a little bit beat up. However, this one is the one I'm hoping makes the bag. Shout out Dustin, he's been doing dies for a lot of people on Team Discmania. Do your job, man! For real, I'm really hoping this one's like just in that perfect zone already. He said it was field tested, so it's not brand new. Ooh. Okay, 2 quick things. One, you'll notice that flew a lot more like the first one because it's really stable, really new. That's good. It won't go in the bag right away, but man, I will be beating that thing up whenever I can, and it will make its debut in the bag as soon as possible. I try to say ASAP and as soon as possible. Cut that. I'll just throw one more Sky God here so I can really show you about what pros mean when they cycle discs. This is a very beat up Sky God 4. One I actually took out of the bag because of how straight it was. And you can see it's not even gonna get that hyzer finished, it just lands flat. So there may come a time where I really want that, so I just keep it with me, have a few different options of Sky God 4. That's how you cycle discs. All right, the next kind of hole in my bag we have is my mid-range. Now I love the method, but it's recently announced that it's out of production, so there won't be too many good runs of it left, and I really have to kind of weigh my options on what I like out of my mid-ranges, so this is kind of why we're doing this. Also just wanted to say, like, this is not like a end-all be-all, you know, whatever disc I like the most today does not necessarily mean that it's in the bag for the season finite. It's more of just a test because I haven't really got out to throw and test any of these yet, and pretty much after just 1 or 2 initial throws, I can pretty much decide which stabilities I like, and so then it'll go in the bag for some practice rounds. If it performs well, obviously it will stay. But you know, now I kind of have an idea of how those Sky Gods fly and how my other discs fly. If that one that I want to put in the bag doesn't work out, then I already kind of have a preconceived idea that isn't from October of how they fly. So up next with the methods, I'm just going to show you guys how my straight method in the bag flies. This one is a Lux method, nice flat top and beat up for a long time. This is my nice hyzer flip to straight. I mean, that's just my workhorse mid-range right there. Just dead straight. And I've said this before, but every straight disc needs its stable complement. So this is where these come in. So I've been using this primal run of method for a long time. I got these off of Simon because they're that special, and there's really not that many of them left. A few pros on Discmania have really come to like this run of method, and I can't imagine there were many made. So I have a few left. Some of them are beat up, some of them are new. Test those guys out. So I believe these are actually a Shadow Titan prototype, which is a forge method, which honestly is a pretty overlooked disc as it is. These ones I think are a little bit more stable. This is one that's been in my bag for a bulk of last year, so it's pretty beat up. Should still be pretty stable compared to that Lux. Yeah, I mean, you can just see a completely different disc. That's nice. I'm glad that thing is still usably overstable. Shout out Gannon Burr, he hooked me up with these blue ones. It's funny because these were given him from Paul Krantz, from Simon, so it's actually just the same stash. But discs have a funny way of getting from person to person. I've been bagging this one for my trip so far. Let's check that stability. Try to hit it more flat. Yeah, that's good. If you hit these flat, they go straight. And then on hyzer, they go left, which can be tricky if you don't understand that. Same disc right here. I'm gonna hit it flat again. Ooh, that actually had a much better flight. Yeah, these are still gonna be a work in progress. This is just a plain primal run now, not the Shadow Titan. Hit that one in hyzer, and man, those ones are really stable out of the box, but they do beat up pretty quick. Most disc golfers will tell you the higher the speed, the harder it is to test. Like for a putter, I can throw it once, pretty much know how it flies. Mid-range is slightly harder. Then you get to fairways and distance drivers. Like, you can't just throw a distance driver once and know how it flies. Also gonna have my first throw with the Glacier, which is kind of why Gannon was able to send me some of those Shadow Titan prototypes, because I think he's liking this for that slot. I'm gonna hit this one flat, check its stability. Yeah, pretty dang similar disc. But yeah, first throw with it, pretty nice. Be testing those out more for sure. Kind of inconclusive, we'll call it. We've got the FD here as well, another disc that's kind of been tricky to figure out since I lost my Night Strike 2. Been working with the Showstopper. Similar flight to it. I just quite haven't gotten the flip points yet, so I'm gonna try for a nice hyzer release. Should be flipping all the way over and turning. Yeah, that's honestly pretty dang good. Yeah, there's a reason I chose that one. Most similar to what I was bagging. It's like so slightly different in the way it flips up a bit quicker, but then it stays straighter a bit longer. So I just have to get used to it, but I think that's a winner. I have my beat up FD from last year too, but I don't think it's as flippy as that. Let's just test it. It's been a while since I've thrown it. Oh. Oh, whoa. Hold on a second. It's like still a little too stable at the end, but like I mentioned earlier about cycling discs, that's what I'm definitely gonna keep around. And then I always like to bag a pretty stable FD, mostly for wood shots, so it's a little bit harder to test just in an open field. But I've got this one, which has been getting slightly flippy. Just tested here on a committed hyzer. Yeah, I mean, that's how they should fly. Hyzer to flat. I mean, no reason for that to leave the bag right now. Flew good. I do have some new ones though, because the new ones fly pretty stable and are definitely good for more open conditions. If you mostly play in the open or are looking for an FD, this is probably the one for you. I mean, you can see it's going left, but it's not dumping, it's just pushing straight. Really unique flight, because it has that 6 glide for going left. Try to hit this one flat, show you guys that as well. I mean, if you're a flex shot player, you probably don't like the FD as much. You will like that one, guarantee it. Big brother to the FD, we have the FD1. Easily in contention for one of my favorite discs from Discmania. It's gonna be unique this year because I'm playing a lot more open courses. I've been able to get away with just bagging my FD for my straight shots and my FD1 for my stable shots. But there's so many windy, open lines that I need to hit that I would like to throw at the 7-speed. So I think this year I'm debating bagging 2 FD1s. One that's kind of more that traditional, true 7-speed, really overstable, kind of like a mini FD3. And one that's more of a straight flyer, but with just more integrity and a bit more torque resistance, a bit less glide than an FD. So I was beating a Skywalker 2 up all off season and I lost it under the snow, which is unfortunate. We have this FD1, which hopefully will fit the bill. But man, these Sea-Line ones just take forever to beat up, so I don't know if it's quite there yet. I'm gonna show you guys how a brand new FD1 flies. If you're curious, 7402, maybe more like a 7402.5 for these Sea-Lines out of the box. Pretty stable. I'm gonna hit it slight hyzer. You can just see that nice flip up, and it's different than the FD. You see that FD really pushed almost all the way to those benches where that FD1 kind of gets straighter out of that flight first and then really has that late dump. So here's that same purple one, but this one's beat up. And you'll see, if I remember it correctly, they honestly fly pretty similar, even though this one's beat up. Very durable mold. Sea line plastic, good for that. I mean, yeah, like, you could see a little bit more flip, but man, I mean, you cannot call that disc a straight disc, and I'm looking for a straight disc. Yep. I mean, they're honestly probably one of Discmania's most consistent molds. If you get a Sea Line FD1, they are going to fly straight to fade every time. And will be a nice overstable utility disc if you have a slower arm speed. Just a nice flight, so controllable. Love the FD1. So I've got this Skywalker 2. I know is not ready yet, but we'll just check the stability versus the Sea Lines. You can see it is definitely a tad straighter. Still like not a straight disc. So I think that would be the one. I just need to get it beat up a little bit more. Also, why not just test some more? We have the Avery Jenkins Shield Series FD1. Probably a bit domier than I'd like for my straight disc, but hey, if it flies good, it flies good. And you can see it is not that straight disc yet. Pretty consistent for an FD1, so if you like the FD1, maybe try that one out. It's an S-line rim with a C-line flight plate, so pretty cool. Ooh, I forgot this one was hidden in the bag. This is actually a first run FD1. And honestly, I said it was the most consistent mold. That might be a lie, because these ones are definitely straighter and they feel different too. I don't really know what it is about them, but this could be the one for what I'm looking for. Hopefully it's a flip up to straight with some good integrity. Oh my gosh. That is the exact flight I'm looking for. I mean, you can see it's still stable at the end. That's what I want. I want to be able to throw some nice straight lines with still some stable integrity where the FD can kind of tend to glide out and push right, which, you know, in the open and in the wind. In the woods, the FD is a winner. But there's a lot of holes on tour that are open that I'm going to want to throw like flat to subtle flex lines and get them to go right without being so finicky. I'll have to test it out more, but first run FD1, man. We have a stack of discs here. I told you that the higher the speed it is, kind of the harder to nail those flight characteristics in a few throws. So we have a lot of options here. My dear Great Issue PD can no longer be bagged, and it's probably one of my favorite discs I've ever thrown. So we have a lot of contenders to replace that today, maybe even switching up from the PD mold, so stay tuned. Throw them, let's test them out. Once again, the PD is a mold that I like to bag 2 of, or at least I should say I like to have 2 of this speed. I love this Nordic Phenom. This is my go-to disc for straight shots, and what I love about it is it can handle the woods and the open alike. So just get a nice straight flight out of this guy. I mean, there's a reason why the PD is just one of the best molds. You can see very similar to the flight of that FD1, which is why I've never really needed that FD1, because the PD kind of does the trick. They might be different enough not to overlap, but hard to tell off one throw. So basically that's the flight I look for out of a Nordic, and now we're looking for a complement to it. So I have some brand new Nordics here. We'll throw those as well. I don't think they will fit it, but who knows, maybe I got a nice stable one. Yeah, I mean, that's how they should fly out of the box. That was kind of a weak throw, honestly. But man, they fly good. I mean, there's a reason I love Nordic Phenom. Great disc. All right, I'm gonna start throwing these more flat because I'm looking for something that is stable with glide. It's kind of hard to tell a lot of brand new discs when you just throw them on hyzer like that. So check the stability. It's a bit more with the flat release here. C-Line PD. Yeah, it's a good disc. Oh, it's got a nice late fade to it. Yeah, like I said, the faster the disc, the harder it is to figure it out in one throw. So these are more of just an initial test. Probably no decisions will be made on this today. I mean, that's a PD flight right there, man. So clean. Love it. All right, after the Nordic Phenom 1 is the Nordic Phenom 2. Now these feel more like a Grady. They have that nice little dome to them. I hope you can hear that. Nothing crazy like a pop top, but just a nice shape for a riding hyzer disc. So let's test these out. I'm really excited. I'm gonna actually aim more over. Hopefully these are a bit more stable. Yeah, like I said, man, these fly like my Grady's after a couple months of use. I'm just kind of worried they'll beat up kind of quick. I mean, yeah, you can already see if it's gonna kind of flip up and go a little bit right, not the right disc for that slot. I've only thrown those white ones though. These ones have been bagged up since I got them, so who knows, maybe these colors are a bit more stable. Would be sick. Yeah, that definitely is stable, but I can kind of feel the fatigue setting in a little bit. I'm gonna take like a 5-minute break because don't think I'm getting accurate flights out of these right now. Feeling a bit more refreshed. Took a layer off. Another Nordic Phenom 2. This one's got a cool color to it. Yeah, it's a cool disc. Just looking for something probably a bit more stable. All right, Lone Howl 3, another option here for overstable PD. I've actually never thrown these, so first test with it. I mean, I kind of feel like I know how it flies, but check it. Oh, that was definitely kind of a weird throw, but certainly it's got stability to it. Okay, those kind of remind me of a Grady shoe a little bit. They really do. I'm gonna try one more of like a flexing line, like not actual anhyzer, but more flat, getting it to move right. That one was the most beat up of the bunch. Probably should have done it with that. But I just kind of wanted to see how they fly, a little bit beat up. So cool flights. I'm honestly more impressed with that than I thought I would be. And the last option I have for this slot, which I mentioned, these are FD3s. Now, if you look at just the flight numbers, the only difference between a PD and an FD3 is one's a 10 speed, one's a 9 speed. Obviously they fly a bit more different than that, but if there's potentially maybe a straighter run of FD3, it may be closer to an overstable run of PD, and I know a lot of people on the team kind of go with this approach, especially for those more open courses. So first throw with the Solar Flare. It's been out for a while, but it's been snowing at my house since I got it. So first throw with it. I'm gonna throw it flat. Interesting, yeah, kind of what I was expecting. And then that late blue one now. I'm gonna throw it on hyzer. Yeah, I mean, definitely more stable than the grays I used to bag, but like I mentioned, it's a good thing, right? This can always beat up. I also have the Shield Club run of these. These are beautiful. Really curious to see how these fly. Yep, pretty much how I thought they would fly. Like not the most overstable FD3s in the world, but certainly a step up from a PD. Try a flat shot. Yeah, nice flights to them though. Would definitely be a big adjustment for me. But cool, like them. All right, that's all the discs I was testing today. If you learned something, let me know in the comments. Definitely more to the Discmania lineup than meets the eye. So thanks for coming along for this fieldwork session. I certainly learned a lot, got some new discs in the bag. We'll still have to work with those faster discs, but had a good time. Glad I took you guys along. See you in the next one.